How are you relating to the people in your life? Personality to personality or soul to soul? We come into interactions, into connections, and we find them either attractive or repulsive. These are personality to personality connections. Now that we can recognize our soul in ourselves, we can recognize a soul in someone else. A soul-to-soul connection is meaningful. It's satisfying. It's the kind you want more of. And you can find them because you are becoming multisensory as you begin to align your own personality with your own soul. That allows you to begin to experience the world with reverence. Reverence is seeing that life itself has value, that everything in and of itself is precious. You can begin to relate soul to soul, essence to essence. That's reverence. This way of connecting has to do with what's real. It's good to be with you again. This is the What is Real series of episodes of Soul Feast. Each one is a little feast. And what we're feasting on is this question. It's a good one, too. What is real, really? We looked at AI. It's not that. You can see for yourself it's not that. Go back to the podcast on AI and you'll see it's an interesting discussion. I think you'll find it entertaining. But I think you'll also see that AI is not real. In fact, it brings up the question, what is real? If you're a professor, who wrote this essay? This student with a name on it or AI? It's pretty good. I'm not sure how to tell whether it's an artifact of a computer program or it's real. So to help me, I'm going to consult AI to tell me if it's plagiarized or not. That's how confusing it can be when we're in the realm of artificial intelligence. It's not any more intelligent than your mind. It does the same thing your mind does. It peruses, reviews 5 sensory data, and then concludes, deduces, and presents to its personality those combinations it feels are most helpful for its personality to create external power, manipulation and control, the old understanding of power. Artificial intelligence does something like that too. It increases profitability. It increases market share. It increases comprehensibility. It uses data in selective ways. If you ask it to, it'll do anything you ask it to. It doesn't have its own intentions. It reflects your intentions. And that's what creates consequences for you. Not what AI does. Not what your podcasts do. Not what your posts on social media do, but what your intention behind them is. And AI doesn't have that. Never can. Meaning. Well, we looked at meaning too. What is meaningful to you? And I'm suggesting that you look at what is really meaningful to the deepest part of you. The part that is looking for completion, for satisfaction, for at ease in your life. It's certainly that. What is real has to do with meaning. Then, what kind of meaning? Well, then we came to connection. The last podcast was about connection. That's an important thing to consider because it is your interactions with others that form the basis of your spiritual growth. It's those interactions that bring up in you loving parts of your personality and feelings of gratitude or patience or caring or appreciation or sometimes just awe of the universe. And they also bring up frightened parts of your personality, those that are angry and jealous, resentful, competitive, overwhelmed, perfectionist, obsessive, addictive. All of those things come to the surface in your interactions with others. You can't isolate yourself from them and grow spiritually anymore. Doesn't help to join a monastery and from there into a hermitage. Wherever you go, there's going to be other people. And at the very least, or very most, you might say, they're the same. If you go into a hermitage and isolate yourself, there you are. But it takes other people to activate the frightened parts of your personality, because you can meditate for 19 years in a cave and come out of that cave and still find something irritating to you. That's a frightened part of your personality. And until you look at that part of yourself, that interior dynamic, not the outer world that irritated it or that activated it, but at what was activated, you can't grow spiritually. That's where we are now. That's the new consciousness. We are a new species. We're no longer evolving by surviving and surviving by pursuing external power, manipulation, and control. We are a multi-sensory species that is evolving by growing spiritually, and that is growing spiritually by creating the new understanding of power, real power, authentic power. That's love. There's no greater power. All of that comes to the surface through your interactions. All of the people that you interact with are souls like you. And they're not strangers, even though they may appear to be. They are souls with whom you have perhaps prior interactions, and perhaps this is the first one. But the purpose of the interaction is always the same: the spiritual growth of each of you in ways that are relevant and most meaningful to each of you. Connection is important. Connection is necessary. Connection is what makes us come alive, either with despair or with hope, either with a dull lethargy or with a brilliant creativity. It is connection that inspires and it activates all of that. Now, I was telling you in the last podcast about a special kind of connection, a kind of connection that will flood your interior experiences with gratitude and appreciation and richness and more. Let's look at connection more carefully. Because we are multisensory now, we're not limited to the old consciousness that itself was limited to the five senses. We are able to see ourselves with, you might say, a double vision, but in the best way. We're able to see who we always knew we were, thought we were, the person that has our name, that was born on our birthday and will die on a certain day. That's a personality. Now we're also able to begin to experience our souls. We're beginning to experience for ourselves that our personalities, you might say, each one has an immortal aspect, an aspect that existed before it was born, that means you were born, and before it will die, which means you will die. But your soul will not die. That's part of the new consciousness. We can see it, we can feel it, we can know it. So what is the connection until we became multisensory? You meet someone, and right away, you think to yourself, oh, what a good dresser. Or, wow, she's beautiful. Or, oh my gosh, she's handsome. Or, she's brilliant. Or, he's brilliant. Or, look at that. It's amazing, the art that he produces. It's amazing how he thinks, how she feels, how she expresses herself, how she moves. She's a dancer. And we love that. Or we say to ourselves, whoa, what an unattractive person. I don't even like the way she talks. I don't like the way he holds himself. Look, he's trying to impress people. In other words, we come into interactions, into connections, and we find them either attractive or repulsive. These are personality to personality connections. because only personalities have these characteristics that can appeal to us or repulse us. And that's how we lived our life until we were multisensory, being attracted or repulsed by the people around us. And that's a process that's out of control. Why does that happen? Why do I dislike some people? Why can't I love everyone? That's what I'm supposed to do. If I'm New Age, I'm supposed to love everyone. If I'm Christian, I'm supposed to love everyone. If I'm Buddhist, I'm supposed to be in equanimity. Why aren't I? That's a question to look at. That's the question for multisensory humans to look at. Now that we can recognize souls, our soul in ourselves, we can recognize a soul in someone else. For example, have you ever gotten on a bus and you step up a couple of steps, you put a token or some money in the meter, and just for a moment the driver's eyes meet yours. And something happens. You've connected. You're not separate from her. You go to the back of the bus. And that feeling doesn't disappear right away. It's with you for a moment or two. That was a soul-to-soul connection. It was a real connection. So now when we talk about connections, we can make a distinction between personality to personality and soul to soul. A soul-to-soul connection is meaningful. It's satisfying. It's the kind you want more of, and you look for more of them. And you can find them because you are becoming multisensory. You are beginning to appreciate what you see in others. When you see yourself as a personality, you're looking at the little you, the you with a little y. When you're seeing your soul, you're looking at the you with a big Y. And now we can see them both at the same time. And because we can see them at the same time in ourselves, we can see them at the same time in others. We can recognize others as souls like ourselves that have frightened parts of their personalities that are painful, that come without invitation, that express themselves with anger or jealousy or superiority or inferiority. And there are many ways that a frightened part of your personality can express itself, and you will feel. And as we begin to see each other soul to soul, we realize that everyone has frightened parts, and everyone has loving parts. Everyone has parts that are grateful. Everyone has parts that are patient and caring. Everyone has tenderness. Everyone has care. So who is somebody really? They're this complicated presence, energy system. Even that person that you think might be the most horrific you can imagine. Let me give you an example. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler, for those of you who are not familiar with an event called World War II, I suggest you Google it or look it up on your AI. And don't forget what you read. It was a horrendous experience that began with brutality and ended with cruelty and brutality beyond anyone's imagination. 80 million people died in this event. The entire world was at war. And it ended when the first atomic bombs were dropped on Japan. That was World War II, and it was crystallized by a man named Adolf Hitler in Germany, who was elected after World War I, when people felt that Germany was humiliated, that it was being taken advantage of. And Hitler, Adolf, appealed to the fear of the German people powerfully. He loved huge rallies. He loved being admired. His rallies were epic, like the Nuremberg rally, named after the city it was held in. Tens of thousands of people in uniform, all saluting him. Heil Hitler! Thundering through the stadium. He loved military parades. He loved dominating. He was vindictive. He was unforgiving. He was a predator. Does that sound familiar? We've elected someone that has a behavior like that. It's evident to everyone. But does that mean that this person that we've elected is only predatory, cruel, brutal, vain, needing adulation, disregarding others? It means he behaves that way, but it doesn't mean that's what he is. He is a soul, and he has loving parts of his personality too. Most of us have hidden parts of our personality, like the parts that are brutal, exploitative, uncaring, self-centered, and we don't like to look at them in ourselves. Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychologist, called them our shadow. When they come up, they surprise us. Well, when somebody is like Adolf Hitler, he has a shadow side too. It's kindness, it's compassion, it's generosity. And when it comes up, I'm sure it's a jolt in his psyche. Same with the person that we've elected in the United States. The point is, how are you relating to him? How are you relating to the people in your life? Personality to personality or soul to soul? There's a big difference. Because when you relate soul to soul, you can have a type of experience that you can say, this is what I want. As I create authentic power, this is what I want to add to it, to add to my life. You can begin to see each other beyond the appearance, the shell of appearance, and into the interiorness of that person. That is the soul. You can begin to see into his or her essence. That is a soul-to-soul connection. Personalities can't see it. Souls can. And we are becoming multisensory. We're becoming aware of our souls as well as our personalities. Now, let's act on them. That's a choice. And the choice to act on your soul, which is a loving part of your personality, or on a fear, which is a frightened part, is called, doing that consciously is called creating authentic power. And that's what this podcast is about. And we'll teach you. I'll teach you. I'll share with you. Linda will share with you. Linda Francis, my spiritual partner on her videos, will share with you how to develop emotional awareness and responsible choice, the two simple tools of creating authentic power, so that you can relate soul to soul as you begin to align your own personality with your own soul. And that allows you to begin to experience the world with reverence. Reverence is seeing that life itself has value. Reverence is appreciating that everything in and of itself is precious. Reverence is seeing the preciousness, the uniqueness of everyone in everyone that you see. You're no longer limited to the repulsion and attraction experiences, loving and frightened parts of your personality that come with personality to personality experiences. But instead, you're beginning to see soul to soul, and you can begin to relate soul to soul, essence to essence. That's reverence. When you see the essence, when you go beyond the shell of appearance and into the interiorness, the beingness of the person or plant or animal that you're interacting with, that is reverence. Is reverence the same as creating authentic power? No, it's not. It's something you need to add to your life in addition to. There are many people who behave reverently. Let me put it this way. There are many people who would not harm life. I guarantee it. Not because they're authentically powerful, but because they have experienced so much pain in their lives. They would not harm anything. They cannot. But they're not authentically powerful. You are creating authentic power. Alignment of your personality with your soul. Reverence adds a dimension to everything that you do. Reverence permits the experience of being unempowered without cruelty, without being cruel. Without reverence, the experience of being unempowered can become very cruel and brutal. It can be murderous. We feel justified in harming life, destroying life, because we are learning, because we have the right. That is the experience of lacking reverence. Our species is more than lacking in reverence. It is irreverent. And when we are irreverent, life becomes a very cheap commodity upon our planet, as it is now. This way of connecting has to do with what's real. That's real. Love is real. Reverence is real. Seeing the preciousness of life beyond its form, beyond the exterior, beyond the shell, and into the essence, the interiorness, the beingness of what it is. And appreciating that, because that is what you are. That's reverence. That's reverence. This mini-series of Soul Feast is about what's real. And now we're going more and more and more deeply into what's real. If you're enjoying anything you're hearing on this podcast, subscribe to it. Now, what do I mean by enjoy? Do I mean, is it entertaining for you? Does it make you laugh? Does it make you forget your worries? That's not what I mean. I mean, do you resonate with anything that I say as relevant, profound, and pertinent for you, not for the world, for you? Something that you can use, something that you can experiment with in your life. If you do, if you resonate, then subscribe, because there's more where this comes from. It comes from the universe, as do you. Now I have a soul step for you. I want you to take out your soul notebook and your soul fountain pen and write everything that I've said that you resonate with, that you can remember in this podcast, and then everything that you disagree with. And at the end of the week, look at them. Look at them at the end of every day and see what you can learn about yourself from them. Now, I want you to do one more thing. I want you to download a portion of the Authentic Power Guidelines. Go to our website, seatofthesoul.com. In the upper right, you'll see the menu. It's a little series of parallel bars. Looks a bit like pancakes stacked on one another. Click that. And then click Resources. And under that, you will see Authentic Power Guidelines. Click that. And you will be able to download the Authentic Power Guidelines. You'll download them in one collection. There's 4 sections of them. The section that I want you to pay attention to is the section on compassion. And I want you to study that and all of the guidelines in it. There's only 3. On the last podcast, I sent you to the Authentic Power Guidelines and asked you to download the first section, Commitment. If you haven't done that, I suggest you might want to listen to the last podcast. It was about connection. But on this podcast now, go to seatofthesoul.com, go to the Authentic Power Guidelines, download them, and focus on the compassion section. And whatever that stimulates in you, write that in your soul notebook also. I'm looking forward to seeing you again when you've done that. I'm looking forward to seeing you again no matter what you've done, but I suggest you do this and see what it produces in your life. I'm Gary Zukav.